Charlemagne rhyme. Charlemagne rhyme. Reading comics, toys are hella sick, hella whacking it. Taking bad hits, taking bad shit. Start a mix. Subscribe for Bless me small babies. Hey, what's up, you guys? Sharkness Prime here doing another Walking Dead comic review. This is Volume 5 called The Best Defense, and I will be summarizing issues number 25 through 30. In case you haven't noticed me doing these videos, I'm basically summarizing and reviewing the Walking Dead comics. For those of you that are interested in the TV show, want to know what's going on in the comics, but you're too lazy and don't feel like reading the comics, but you totally should. Actually, quite a few of you have been reading this, telling me that I inspired them to pick them up. I know Cheap Punkus has, and Gay Comic Geek. He just all the way caught up, totally up to date, and for me that's really cool because he's my favorite comic book reviewer, and the fact that I was able to convince him to get into it, and this being my favorite comic. Volume 5 anyway is badass. This is an exceptional book. I really like it, and if I remember correctly, like I said, I'm rereading these. Number 6 is even a little bit cooler. You can see that they got some riot gear on. There's Tony Moore's artwork right there. Of course, this is written by Robert Kirkman and Charlie Adler. Charlie Adler is doing the artwork inside of these. Let's take a look at how this Build-A-Picture is coming along. And here's our Build-A-Picture. See the zombies. I like how each color is very different, You got purple, yellow, green. This one matches pretty well. I like how he's got that 70s style. So, this continues straight off from Volume 4. Volume 4 ended with Tyrese and Rick getting into a huge fight. And like I've said before, I spoil the hell out of these, so be prepared for that. And we get introduced to quite a few new characters. One being a villain. Probably one of the most notable villains in the Walking Dead series is the Governor. Oh, what a dick. But let's go through the roster of the characters that we see in this book. Rick, Lori, and she's still preggers. Carl, Tyrese, Michonne, Dale, Andrea, the twin boys, Carol, Sophia, Herschel, Billy, Herschel's son, Glenn and Maggie, Otis, Patricia, Axel, the Governor, Martinez, even though he plays a very short role, Bruce, another very short role, Stevens, and Alice. This book starts off with Dale, Rick, and Glenn, Maggie, and Tyrese all going through the prison trying to clean everything out. And like we saw in part 4, Dale found a generator, and they basically come up with this plan to siphon some gas from some of the cars outside of the prison and put it, fuel the generator so that they can get power in the prison. And so they come up with this plan of, of having one group walk around the gates to kind of lure the zombies away, and then the other group goes out there to, to basically get the work done and everything. And I think it's just Glenn and Rick, and they notice a helicopter in the sky. They're like, "Oh my God, a helicopter! What the hell?" I mean, that's a huge deal. So they want to go, they want to go find it and everything. One thing I wanted to mention really quick, I kind of forgot to skip this, is that while they're in the prison, they find riot gear. Glenn and Maggie find a bunch of riot gear, which is a huge deal, so that when they go out to attack the zombies and everything, that they're a lot more well protected. And it's kind of funny, there's this little scene when Tyrese picks up one of the helmets, and he's like, "Hey, I think these are bulletproof." And he's like, especially these helmets. So they had if you remember in part 4, the prisoners that were there tried to, or was it in book 3? But the guys that had tried to take over and everything, Rick had shot one of them in the head, and kind of just snuck a bullet in while they're fighting the zombies. And Tyrese says like, "Oh wow, luckily they didn't find all this riot gear, especially these helmets, because they're bulletproof." And he's like, "Yeah, they are." Like hella rubbing it in a little bit. Like, damn, you would have been able to kill Dexter if he had this helmet on. I still knew you killed him. So the two of them are cool. They got in a huge fight in the last book, but they're still, kind of being a little bitchy towards each other. Still kind of hate each other and everything, but they're trying to move on all at the same time. So back to the story of them seeing the helicopter. Glenn and Rick are like, oh, let's go, we gotta go find it. And they notice that it crashes, so it goes and crashes off in the distance. And so Glenn and Rick, they're like, okay, let's go do this. Michonne, she's like, hey, I'll go with you. She grabs her sword, even though she promised that they hid it from her, but she said, oh yeah, you don't think I was gonna be able to find it in the RV? Of course I have my sword, psh, punk ass. So the three of them go. Tyrese is like, hey, you want me to come along? Rick's like, nah, we're cool, dude. Don't need your ass here. Like, damn. So he kind of gets a cold shoulder. Still, like I said, kind of being a little bitchy towards each other. So they go off there on their adventure looking for the helicopter. In the meantime, back at the prison, you have some weird drama going on with Carol. Carol, weirdo, man, hella weird. Like in the other books, she kisses Lori first, and then later on, like in her sorrow, while she's all weepy and stuff, and then at another time she kisses Rick. At one point or another, she does kiss each of them, and both of them had the same reaction, like, whoa, what the fuck, man? Like, gee, dude, weird. And Carol tried to kill herself in the last book, so she's still recovering and still very bit crazy. And she comes to Lori with this proposition of, like, she said, I want to marry you. And Lori's like, wait, what the fuck? And she's like, no, I mean, not just you. I want to marry you and Rick. And she's like, what? She's like, yeah, the three of us could have a family and we could raise Carl and Sophia together, and you're going to have the baby and I could help raise the baby and everything. And Lori's like, oh my god, look, we're friends and everything, but like, holy shit, like, you are fucking weird, man. So she's just totally weirding Lori out. Very cool, interpersonal drama going on. At the same time, Glenn, Michonne, and Rick, they find the helicopter. They find the crashed helicopter, and in the meantime, their car kind of got stuck in the mud. But regardless, they go walk over there and they find all these footprints, and there's nobody inside the helicopter, and there's hella footprints, around it and everything in the mud, and they find a trail and they go follow. And they come to a decision that they're going to spend the night hunting them down, and they see a sign for a town close by, so they decide to go all the way to the town because they figure it'd be just as scary going back because it's getting late in the day and everything. So they make the decision to do that. In the meantime, it's getting dark and everything, and everybody back at the prison's like, where the hell are they? Lori's all scared as hell and everything. Carl's being all tough, like, Mom, Dad's always going to make it back and everything. And everybody's worried. Everyone's trying to get to sleep and everything, but everyone's worried. Tyrese and Axel are just chilling and basically guarding the gates so that whenever they do come back, they can open the gates up for them. But they decide to go follow this trail, and it's kind of neat. Like, Michonne, they mention it quite a few times in this book, how Michonne was out all by herself in the wilderness for so long, and you really see her skills because the three of them are just walking in the woods, and she's like, it's kind of funny, I don't see any roamers. She's like, no, I hear them. Like, oh, you do? She's like, yeah, they're following us about 20 paces behind us. She's like, whoa, what? She's like, yeah, it's like we walk a lot faster than them, but they're following us, so that whenever we stop, it'll just be a moment of time, just a quick moment for them to catch up, and they'll attack us. They're like, oh shit. But it looks somewhat peaceful because the three of them are just walking at a steady pace, but they're actually being followed. She's saying the longer we walk, the more noise the group of roamers is going to make, and it's a bigger and bigger group, so it's pretty, freaking scary experience and everything. So they get into that town, and bam, these big lights come on and everything, and before they know it, there's guns shooting and everything, shooting all the roamers that are behind them, and, they get taken into this area, and that is where they meet Martinez, who seems like a friendly guy and everything, but Martinez actually just works underneath the governor. And the governor, so this character is basically running the show in this town. He shows them around, he takes all their weapons and everything, and he says, like, oh yeah, we have this, it's fight night tonight, and they have this ring set up so that, and they're running on generators and everything. He mentioned, like, rednecks and their, I forgot what sport was it, drag racing or something like that. But they have this ring set up where they basically have, like, gladiatorial battles between two dudes, and then they have zombies chained up in a circle around them so that, like, if they get hit kind of like out of the ring, they just fall into some zombies. It's really cool. So you can see the guys battling it out right there, and the zombies are just chained up and everything. And the governor takes the Michonne, Glenn, and Michonne, Glenn, and Rick up upstairs to his where he has, you know, the executive view and all that, and basically he tells them, now where'd you guys come from? They're lying. They're just saying, oh, we've just been wandering around the wilderness because they don't want to, you know, lead them back to the prison or anything. And he thinks they're totally full of shit. He's like, well, where'd you get all that gear? You guys don't even have water bottles on you. My ass, he'd been wandering around like this. He's too smart. He's a really smart guy, so he knows. And he wants to get it out of them, and they won't speak. So the governor cuts off Rick's hand, telling him that I always get what I want and everything. Straight after that, you know, Michonne is like, no, Rick. She jumps on top of the governor and bites his ear off, man. It's freaking nasty. So you can see that right there. Ooh, then the other guy's trying to pulls her off, and she spits it out. Oh, he's so pissed. So he said he's gonna have his revenge on her and everything. The governor wants to keep Rick alive, so he takes Rick to his doctor, Stevens. And Stevens, very interesting character. He's like a good guy. He knows that the governor is fucked up asshole, and but, you know, he just does what he says. He's always kind of grumpy. He has his assistant, Alice, there, too. Cleans up Rick and helps fix Rick up and everything. And then, basically, he takes Michonne into this dungeon kind of thing. Has her tied up, arms like that. This thing rope around her neck, tied to the wall. And he tells, I think it was Bruce, his assistant Bruce or whatever, take her pants off. Tie her legs to the walls right there. So Michonne's just standing there, you know, legs spread, arms out like that. And he beats the shit out of her and rapes the fuck out of her too, man. It sucks. I mean, her face is just fucked, man. Like, she's just really, really beaten bad. What really sucks too is that Glenn's in the cell, like, right next to her and everything, and that's like, oh god. Oh, and then the other thing is that, well, they find out what happened to the helicopter victims, man. They killed them. They straight up killed them, and they keep their zombies and they feed them. It's just hella nasty. And you know, the guy talks about how, you know, the governor talks a little bit about the history of the helicopter people and how they used to work at a news station. And, you know, I guess the girl was one of the reporters or something, and the helicopter pilot died in the crash, and then they ended up just killing her and cut her to bits and fed her to the zombies after they got the information they wanted. Here's a look at Michonne's fucked up face. And he's like, oh, you're crying. And she says, like, no, I'm crying for about what I'm going to do to you as soon as I get the chance. And he's like, yeah, but later on. Oof. So... so it's pretty messed up, and you see the governor come home, and he's got a little girl tethered to the wall. It's like, oh my god, dude, what the hell is wrong with this guy? He keeps his zombie daughter around, and he's like, hey, why are you attacking me? You haven't attacked me in a while. And I guess her bucket fell over, and he's all talking to the zombie. He's like, honey, you know, when your bucket falls over, your food gets out of reach, and you get hungry, you know? It's like, oh god. And then it's like, oh, now it's gotten rotten, and she doesn't like it. And then one of his henchmen delivers him a box, and in the box are the heads of the helicopter pilot and the news reporter and Rick's hand. And he's like, oh, here you go, have something to eat. And he throws the little girl Rick's hand, and she starts chomping away at it, and this dude puts the heads inside this glass jar full of water. Now, one thing that's slightly different in the book compared to the TV show is that when you cut a zombie's head off, it will continue to live, as we saw in the last book with the two little girls, or maybe 2 books ago. See, I'm already losing track. But if you cut a zombie's head off, it's still alive. You have to, like, penetrate through the brain. This motherfucker, oh god, what does it say here? 57 channels and nothing on. And this dude is just sitting in his chair with all these heads in these glass cases with water in them, and all the zombies are they're all bubbling and stuff. Oh my god, man. Freaky, dude. So damn freaky. That just totally tripped me out. And one last thing is that, he goes to Rick as Rick is recovering and everything. The governor tells him, like, oh, the little Asian boy, he told us everything we wanted to know. We let him free, and we'll find your prison soon enough. And Rick's like, oh, no, damn it. And then in the meantime, back at the prison, they're talking about watching movies. Yeah, they're talking about getting that generator going. Everyone else is still very concerned about the group that's stuck with the governor, but you know, they're trying to have faith they'll come back and be in high spirits, and they're trying to move on, and they've got fuel for the generator, and they're talking about what movie to watch. They talk about Kindergarten Cop. It's kind of funny and everything, and yeah, so at the end of the book we see somebody running back to the prison in the riot gear, and you think it's Glenn, but it's actually Tyrese, and Tyrese goes out there looking for them. He can't take it anymore, and he actually made the decision to take a motorcycle and go out there and look for them. But the motorcycle got busted while he was dodging a zombie, and he had to run back. And then the other thing is they find out that, you know, the governor, you know, tells one of his henchmen that, you know, no, he didn't tell me that it was the prison. I just kind of took a guess. Which, you know, the writing for that is like, oh wow, what a coincidence, what a good guess, shit. But, you know, so let's talk to everybody, you know, in town, you know, if whoever knows where the closest prison is, and we'll find them soon enough. And then Andrea kind of, while Dale and Glenn are up at the tower shooting down zombies, Andrea kind of hints at like, hey, you know, we should be ready to protect ourselves between people who might want to take us over. So that's basically what's coming up next, is a battle between the governor's people and, you know, and the prison people. So we'll see where that goes. Very, very good book. Very, very good read, as always. But this was better than the last one. There's more action in here, and the plot moves a bit more forward. I mean, we have a real enemy now that is a human, and with a serious group of people. I mean, these are all big guys with guns and stuff. So the National Guard, I guess, had set camp there, so they had left all kinds of stuff for them to use. So yeah, that's it. That's the summary / review. Very, very good book. As always, I totally recommend it. And stay tuned for more. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.
Oh, that's Shartimus. He is so awesome. But now what should I do on the internets? You go to bkbn.net! Here, let me show you, man!
Big Kids Big News is #1 source for geek news, reviews, toys, comics, movies, cartoons, video games, and more!
Next time you're done watching my videos, where are you going? bkbn.net! Where are you going? bkbn.net!